A little late today, sorry about that. A little technical difficulty that I've been able to correct. I remind myself every morning, nothing I say this day will teach me anything. So if I'm going to learn, I must do it by listening. Larry King. I'm sure we've all had to make a challenging decision that we just didn't know the answer to right away. Have you ever questioned yourself, trying to evaluate your morals, values, and belief system and say to yourself, is this the right decision or the wrong decision for me to make? I think we've all done that. Many of us are caught up in believing that if we can make the right decisions, stay on the good path and off the bad, we will be rewarded in some way. And this may be true to some degree, yet in the grand infinite journey of this life, our souls are interested in something more intriguing. Perhaps asking if a decision is right or wrong is the smaller question at hand. And we have a much bigger life question awaiting us in the background, such as, what do I really honestly want to do with my life? Often when we get in touch with our life purpose and daily mission, we step into feeling the real priority of why our souls are here, and then can move forward from the feeling and make our lives decision in this more grounded, centered, spiritually connected way. Enlightenment begins the moment when we are not and God is. It is a moment of absolute harmony. Window opens, and we can see the whole sky. We are no more confined within the walls of our body and mind. A lightning happens, and old darkness disappears. Osho. Life is easy living from our spiritual nature because it understands the bigger spiritual picture behind everything. It sees how every decision is simply a decision to become more connected to our heart, soul, and higher consciousness. This choice is available within every small decision we make every day. We can always ask, am I coming from love or fear? Am I coming from love or fear? Am I coming from expansion or contraction? The choice is always going to be here, now. Our souls, spirits, or higher selves inherently know what it is always connected with, the one infinite divinity that is the source of all creation. Divinity knows we are always already home. It is connected to a consciousness that is much more evolved than anything found in the greedy rat racing world. Our higher self doesn't worry about right and wrong at all. It knows that life is an amazing, adventurous game to play, and the goal is spread as much love and joy as possible, because we are constantly realizing the blissful spiritual reality, which is our innermost nature. The more advanced souls can see this and understand that living from this connection is the real goal and the ultimate perpetual decision to make in each moment of this lifetime. To see the truth spiritual reality is the real, rather than the false, finite, physical simulation. Any other goal in this life is an egoic distraction. The media we pay so much attention to has missed this. For decades, the mass media has been successfully hypnotizing everyone to believe in what they believe is the truth. This product will make us feel better. This idea will make us richer. Or this mask will keep us safe from dying of deadly viruses. Once we realize this bigger truth, only then are we free. The truth is the only thing worth putting our precious lives' energy into. Eventually comes a moment when the matrix illusion is so obviously full of fear and manipulation that it doesn't suck you in at all. You maintain your center as a watcher, observing their desperate ways. The powerful manipulative force of the authority exemplifies a hard plastic connection to this life. Its over-masculinated righteous power, control, and domination actually makes it easier to remain distant so we may relax deeper into our own connection to the greater spiritual reality. Before God, we are all equally wise and equally foolish. Albert Einstein. Back in the 70s, it was considered a treat to eat out at the newest fast food restaurants. You might have remembered, even before then, standing in the queue with your parents with a long line of hungry people behind you. And you may have always felt deeply pressured to quickly decide. Were you ever in that position? As a child, you went up and you see all this, and your parents say, "What do you want to order?" And you got all these people behind you. And the pressure that you would feel to quickly decide what you were going to order when it was your turn. You know, you could be standing there and you got people in front of people behind you. You remember that? The moment that you go up to the counter and it's your turn, right? Your parents begin prodding you on what you wanted to eat. What do you want to eat? Come on. It's your choice. And of course, as a kid, you look at everything and you see all this stuff and you're kind of going, I don't know. There's so much. So you know you have to make up your mind, or you're not going to eat anything for lunch that day. That little decision created such a deep emotional turmoil in your very being that stuck with it. Still to this day, some people say it still sticks with them. Looking back, you can understand why it was so hard to make a decision. Your soul was in charge of your body, and it didn't want to eat any fast fried food on their unhealthy menu. There's a deep misguidance within all of us that says to not trust your innermost nature. It says, follow the crowd. Don't make things difficult for others, and don't follow your own truth. This misguided truth says that this path is right, and that path is wrong. There is no wrong path on an infinite journey, because all roads eventually lead to the exact same place. The fear behind right and wrong choices is social habits handed down from our parents their parents, their parents, siblings, friends, media, and the great societal mass unconsciousness. The self-mistrust is deeply embedded in our own thinking patterns. We have developed this internalized pressure to always do, say, and think the right thing. This pressure has caused us to forget the most important spiritual destination of our lives. The societal tension has created such a deep disconnection with our own hearts and souls that we don't know what we want or don't want. We cannot feel the essence of our heart and soul. And instead, we feel an absence of our spiritual paths. We constantly feel that we are perpetually hankering or yearning for something we are missing from the outside. There are so many decisions and choices to be made every day that we forget the greatest and most obvious one, that is to be vulnerable with life so we can feel our delicate souls in the here and now. It is difficult to experience moments of happiness if we are not aware of what it is we generally love. It is difficult to experience moments of happiness if we are not aware of what it is we genuinely love. Sarah Bond, birthday. What we all are searching for is an unlimited, unending connection with a real feeling of universal love. The truth is that all moments in this life, good or bad, contain the possibility of finding this love within. The real goal of every soul is to live in this love by realizing that it is connected to this infinite source of love. What the mind has forgotten is that every situation and decision, right or wrong, has the potential to lead us into the self-realized and God-realized space. From this place, there is no worry, stress, or fear about doing the right or wrong thing. From this state of being, you cannot make a wrong decision. People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. George Bernard Shaw. The mind is a funny thing, isn't it? We can watch how it is always trying to make the right choices which lead to a better life. It wants us to acquire better material possessions, create more money, make us perpetually believe that we are not good enough as we are. The mind is overly invested in creating a better future and completely uninterested in the divinity and infinite universe that's already here now. If the mind was 100% devoted to divinity, it would have no purpose or cognitive plan to create anything in this world. It would just go with the flow. The mind is rooted in a deep need to control life. It wants to make sure everything goes according to its plan. It thinks it knows the way life should be. This neediness to be in control of life is exactly what is creating the suffering inside of all of us. Once we realize that it does not matter so much what we decide, do, or say, as much as how intimately connected we feel to our spiritual nature inside, then years and lifetimes of misguided suffering will instantly fade away. Dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die today. Unknown author. Dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die today. The only way to discover this place of freedom is to look deeper within. Go beyond the mind and our programming around what is right and wrong, and simply look at what is at the source of here and now. To go inside of oneself means to drop the outer world completely and discover that this universe, this universal love, is abundantly within. Now, this takes tremendous focus, courage, and determination to break free from the situations we believe are outside and inside of us. These experiences seem as if they are the ones creating our suffering, whereas the truth is that we are totally responsible and have the power to decide what we want to feel at any given time. This is very important. These experiences seem as if they are the ones creating our suffering, whereas the truth is that we are totally responsible and have the power to decide what we want to feel at any given time. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs, this world needs, are people who have come alive. Harold Whitman. Make the decision. You're the only one that can make the decision. No one else is going to make it for you. Make the decision to let go of your entrenched struggle with right and wrong, and to simply use your energy to consciously choose to access this unlimited source of love inside you every day. Once you decide to remain open and curious and find what ultimately brings peace to your body and mind in each new moment, you will discover that this infinite divine interconnection is already here now. This is the greatest and most fulfilling exploration we can undertake during our lifetime. So for the next 24 hours, I invite you to dive more deeply within yourself than you ever have done before. I challenge you to set your worries aside, to think only positive thoughts. Believe that this world is for you, not against you. Decide to make each day an invitation to find a deeper source of peace within your innermost being. Commit to relaxing, being at ease, and doing nothing but breathe for at least 15 minutes every day. You can release yourself from the prison of any worry, fear, or tension that you've created in your mind. This is your day to be gentle, and loving with yourself in the most intimate and sensitive ways, so that you can profoundly enjoy this amazing life. This is all about you. This journey is all about you. It has nothing to do, really, truly, with anything else. Nothing. The reason that is that we learn about ourselves. Intimately so. This is why we discover the bodies and we've understood the first body, the second body, then there is the third body, which is the mental body. Remember, the first body is food. The second body is energy, electric. And the third body is the mental body, manomai-kash, meaning the mental body. The third is bigger than the second, subtler than the second, higher than the second. Animals have the second body, but not the third. Animals are so vital. See a lion walking. What beauty, what grace, what grandeur. You ever watched a lion walk? It is beauty, grace, grandeur. Man has always felt jealous. See a deer running. What weightlessness. What energy. What a great energy phenomenon. Man has always felt jealous. But man's energy is moving higher. Third body is manomai-kash, the mental body. This is bigger, more spacious than the second. And if you don't grow it, you will remain just a possibility of man, but not a real man. The word man, have you ever wondered where that word came from? The word man comes from man, manome. Okay? Manome. The English word also comes from the Sanskrit root man. The Hindi word for man is manusya. Manusya. That is the Hindi word for man. That comes from the same root, man. The mind. It is mind that makes you man. But more or less, you don't have it. What you have in its place is just a conditioned mechanism. You live by imitation, then you don't have a mind. When you start living on your own, spontaneous, when you start answering your life problems on your own, when you become responsible, you start growing in manomai-kash. Then the mind-body grows. Ordinarily, if you are a Hindu, or a Mohammedan, or a Christian, you have a borrowed mind. It is not your mind. Maybe Christ attained to a great explosion of mano me kosh. And then people have been simply repeating it. That repetition will not become a growth in you. That repetition will be a hindrance. Don't repeat. Rather try to understand. Become more and more alive, authentic, responsive. Even if there is a possibility to go astray, go astray. Because there is no way to grow if you are so afraid of committing errors. Errors are good. Mistakes have to be committed. Never commit the same mistake again, but never be afraid of committing mistakes. People who become so afraid of committing mistakes never grow. They go on sitting in their place, afraid to move. They are not alive. The mind grows with your face. The mind grows when you face encounter situations on your own. You bring your own energy to solve them. Don't go asking for advice forever. Take the reins of your life in your own hands. That's what I mean when I say do your thing. You will be in trouble. It is safer to follow others. It is convenient to follow the society. It is safer to follow others. It is convenient to follow the society. Take the reins of your life in your own hands. That's what I mean when I say do your thing. Take the reins of your life in your own hands. You will be in trouble. It is safer to follow others. It is convenient to follow the society, to follow the routine, the tradition, the scripture. It is very easy because everybody is following. You have just to become a dead part of the herd, right? You have just to become a dead part of the herd. You have just to move with the crowd wherever it is going. It is none of your responsibility, but your mental body, your mano me kosh, will suffer tremendously, terribly. It will not grow. You will not have your own mind, and you will miss something very, very, very beautiful, and something which functions as a bridge for higher growth. So always remember, whatsoever I say to you, you can take it in two ways. You can simply take it on my authority. So it is, so it must be true. Then you will suffer. Then you will not grow. Whatsoever I say, listen to it, try to understand it, implement it in your life, see how it works, and then come to your own conclusions. They may be the same. They may not be. They can never be exactly the same because you have a different personality, a unique being. Whatsoever I am saying is my own. It is bound to be, in deep ways, rooted in me. You may come to similar conclusions, but they cannot be exactly the same. So my conclusions should not be made your conclusions. You should try to understand me You should try to learn, but you should not collect knowledge from me. You should not collect conclusions from me. Then your mind-body will grow. But people take shortcuts. They say, if you have known, finished, what is the need for us to try an experiment? We will believe in you. The believer has no manamekash, no mind. He has a false manamekash, false mind, which has not come out of his own being, but has been forced from without. Then higher than manamekash, bigger than manamekash, is Vijnanamekash. It is the intuitive body. It is very, very, very spacious. And there is no reason in it. It goes beyond reason. Has become very, very, very subtle. It is an intuitive grasp. It is a seeing directly into the nature of things. It is not trying to think about it. The cypress tree in the courtyard. You just look at it. You don't think about it. There is no about in intuition. You simply become available, receptive, and reality reveals to you its nature. You don't project. You are not searching for any argument, for any conclusion, nothing whatsoever. You are not even searching. You are simply waiting, and reality reveals. It is a revelation. The intuitive body takes you to very far out horizons, but still there is one body more. That is the fifth body, the Anand Mekash, the bliss body. The fifth body, Anand Mekash, the bliss body. So you have the food, number one, the food body, right? And then you have the energy, electric body. And then you have the mind body. And then you have the intuitive body. And then you have the bliss body, the fifth body. The Ananda Mekash, the bliss body, that is really far out. It is made of pure bliss. Even intuition is transcended. These 5 seeds are just seeds. Remember, beyond these 5 is your reality. These are just seeds surrounding you. The first is very gross, the body. You are almost confined in a 6-foot body, average 5 feet, whatever. The second is bigger than it. The third is still bigger. Remember the rungs in the ladder. The fourth, still bigger. The fifth is very big. But still, these are seeds. All are limited. If all the seeds are dropped and you stand nude in your reality, then you are infinite. That's what yoga says. You are godly. Aham, Brahmasmi. You are the very Brahman. Now you are ultimate reality of self. Now all barriers are dropped. Try to understand this. The barriers are there surrounding you, each of us in circles. The first barrier is very, very, very hard. To get out of it is very difficult. But people remain confined to their physical bodies. That's the first rung, the first body. And they think their physical life is all that there is to life. Don't settle. The physical body is just a step to the energy body. Okay? The energy body is again a step for the mind body. That too in its own, just a step for the intuitive body. That too a step for the bliss body. And from bliss, you take the jump. Now there are no more steps. You take the jump into the abyss of your being that is infinity, eternity. These are 5 seeds. Corresponding to these 5 seeds, yoga has another doctrine about 5 bhutas, 5 great elements. Just as our bodies are made of food, earth, the earth is the first element. It has nothing to do with this earth. Remember that. The element simply says, whenever there is matter, it is earth. The material is the earth. The gross is the earth. In you, it is the body. Outside you, it is the body of all. The stars are made of earth. Everything that exists is made of earth. The first shell is of earth. 5 bhutas means 5 great elements. Earth, fire, water, air, ether. The 5 bhutas means 5 great elements. Earth, fire, water, air, ether. Earth corresponds to your first. Anamekash, the food body. Fire corresponds to your second body, energy body. Bioplasma, chi, pranamekash. It has the quality of fire. Third is water. It corresponds to the third manome body, the mental body. It has the quality of water. Watch the mind, how it goes on like a flux, always moving, moving river-like. The fourth is air, almost invisible. You cannot see it, but it is there. You can only feel it. That corresponds to the intuitive body, the Vijnaname. And then there is Akash, ether. You cannot even feel it. It has become even more subtle than air. You can simply believe it, trust it, that it is there. It is pure space. That is bliss. But you are purer than pure space, subtler than pure space. Your reality is almost as if it is not. That's why Buddha has often said, anatta, no self. Your self is like a no self. Your being is almost like a non-being. Why non-being? Because it has gone so far from all gross elements. It is pure isness. Nothing can be said about it. No description will be adequate for it. These are 5 bhutas. 5 great elements corresponding to 5 kashas, bodies, within each of us. Then the third doctrine. I'd like you to understand all these because they will be helpful in understanding the sutras that we will be discussing now. Then there are 7 chakras. The word chakra does not really mean center. The word center cannot explain it or describe it or translate it rightly, because when we say the center, it seems something static. And chakra means something dynamic. The word chakra means the wheel, the moving wheel. So a chakra is a dynamic center in your being, almost like a whirlpool, whirlwind. The center, cyclone. It is dynamic. It creates an energy field around it. 7 chakras. The first is a bridge, and the last is also a bridge. The remaining 5 correspond to 5 Mahabhutas, the great elements, and the 5 seeds. Sex is a bridge between you and the grossest. The Prakriti, nature, Sahasrara, the 7th chakra, is also a bridge between you and the abyss, the ultimate. These 2 are bridges. The remaining 5 centers correspond to 5 elements and 5 bodies. This is the framework of Patanjali's system. Remember, it is arbitrary. It has to be used as a tool, not discussed as a dogma. It is not a doctrine in any theology. It is just a utilitarian map. You go to some territory, to some strange country, unknown, and you take a map with you. The map does not really represent the territory. How can the map represent the territory? The map is so small. Territory is so big. On the map, cities are just points. How can those points correspond to big cities? On the map, roads are just lines. How can roads be just lines? Mountains are just marked. Rivers are just marked. And small ones are left out. Only big ones are marked. This is a map. It is not a doctrine. There are not only 5 bodies, there are many bodies. Because between 2 bodies, there is another to join it. And so on and so forth. We are all like an onion, layers upon layers. But these 5 will do. These are the main bodies, the chief ones. So don't be too worried about it. Because Buddhists say there are 7 bodies, and Jainas say there are 9 bodies. Nothing wrong, and there is no contradiction, because these are just maps. If you are studying the whole world's map, then even big cities disappear. Even big rivers disappear. If you are studying a map of a nation, then many new things appear which were not on the world map. And if you are studying the map of a province, then many more things appear, and you are studying the map of a district. Of course, many more. And if just one city, then many more. And if just one house, then of course things go on appearing. It depends. Jainas say 9, Buddha says 7, Patanjali says 5. There are schools which say only 3. And they are all true because they are not discussing any arguments. They are just giving you a few tools to work with. And I think 5 is almost perfect because more than 5 is too much. Less than 5 is too few. 5 seems almost perfect. Patanjali is a very balanced thinker. A few things about these chakras. The first chakra, the first dynamic center, is sex, the Muladhara. It joins us with nature. It joins us with the past. It joins us with the future. We are born out of 2 persons, sexual play. Our parents' sexual play became the cause of our birth. We are related to our parents through the sex center and to our parents' parents, and so on and so forth. We are related to the whole past through the sex center. The thread runs through the sex center, and if you give birth to a child, you will be related to the future. Jesus did say many times in a very rude way, if you don't hate your mother and your father, you cannot come and follow me. Sounds strange, doesn't it? It looks almost hard, almost unbelievable that a man like Jesus would say, should he use such hard words? And he is compassion incarnate, and he is love. Why does he say, hate your mother, hate your father, if you want to follow me? The meaning is drop out of the sexual context. What he's saying is symbolically is go beyond the sex center. Then immediately you are no longer related with the past, no longer related with the future. It is sex that makes us part of time. Once we go beyond sex, we become part of eternity, not of time. Then suddenly only the present exists. We are the present. But if we see ourselves through the sex center, we are the past also, because our eyes have the color of our mother and our father, and our body will have atoms and cells from millions of generations. Our whole structure, biostructure, is part of a long continuum. We are part of a big chain. In India, they say your debt to your parents cannot be fulfilled unless you give birth to children. If you want that your debt should be fulfilled with the past, you have to choose to create the future. If you really want to repay, there is no other way. Your mother loved you, your father loved you. What can you do now? They are gone. You can become a mother, a father to children and repay it to nature. To the same reservoir from where your parents came, you came. Your children will come. Sex is the great chain. It is the whole chain of the world, this world, samsara. It is the link with others. Have you watched it? The moment you feel sexual, you start thinking of the other. When you are not feeling sexual, you never think of the other. A person who is beyond sex is beyond others. He or she may live in the society, but they are not in the society. They may live in the society, but they are not in the society. They may be walking in the crowd, but they walk alone. And a man who is sexual may be sitting on the top of Everest alone, but he will think of the other. He may be sent to the moon to meditate, but he will meditate about the other. Sex is the bridge with the others. Once sex disappears, the chain is broken. For the first time, we become an individual. That's why people may be too obsessed with sex. But they are never happy with it because it is double-edged. It links us with others. It does not allow us to be individual. It does not allow us to be ourselves. It forces us into patterns, into slaveries, bondages. But if we don't know how to transcend it, that's the only way to use our energy. It becomes a safety valve. People who live at the first center, the Muladhara, live only for a very foolish reason. They go on creating energy, and then they are too burdened with it. Then they go on throwing it away. They eat, they work, they sleep. They do many things to create energy. Then they say, what to do with it? It is very heavy. Then they throw it. Seems a very vicious circle. When they throw it away, they again feel empty. They fill with new fuel, with new food, with new work. And again, when the energy is there, they are feeling too full. They say somewhere it has to be released. And sex becomes just a release, a vicious circle of accumulating energy, throwing energy, accumulating energy, throwing energy. It looks almost absurd. Unless we know that we are higher, that there are higher centers within us that can take that energy, use it in a creative way, we will remain confined to the sexual vicious circle. That's why all the religions insist on some sort of sexual control. It can become repressive. It can become dangerous. If new centers are not opening and you go on damming energy, condemning, forcing, representing, repressing, then you are on a volcano. Any day you will explode. You will become neurotic. You're going to be mad. Then it is better to relieve it. But there are centers which can absorb that energy. And greater being and greater possibilities can be revealed to each of us. Remember, as has been said in past days, that the second center near the sex center is the hara, the center of death. That's why people are afraid to move beyond sex, because the moment the energy moves beyond sex, it touches the hara center and one becomes afraid. That's why people are even afraid to move deeply in love, because when you move deeply into love, the sex center creates such ripples that the ripples enter the hara center and fear arises. So many people will say, why do we feel so afraid of the other sex, of men or women? Why do we feel so afraid? It is not the fear of the other sex. It is the fear of sex itself, because if we go deeply into sex, then the center becomes more dynamic, creates bigger energy fields, and those energy fields start overlapping with the hara center. Have you watched? In a sexual orgasm, something starts moving just below your navel, throbbing. That throb is the overlapping of the sex center with the hara. That's why people become afraid of sex also. Particularly, people become afraid of deep intimacy, of orgasm itself. But that second center has to be entered, penetrated, open. That's the meaning when Jesus says, unless you are ready to die, you cannot be reborn. A question was asked. Today is Easter. Have you something to say? I have only one thing to say, that each day is Easter because Easter is the day of resurrection, of being reborn. Each day is an Easter if you are ready to move into the hara center. You will be crucified first. The cross is there within your hara center. You are already carrying it. You just have to move to it, and you have to die through it. And then there is resurrection. Once we die in the hara center, death disappears. Then for the first time, we become aware of a new world, a new dimension. Then we can see the center higher than the hara. That is the navel center. And the navel center becomes the resurrection, because it is the most energy-conserving center. It is the very network of energy. And once you know that you have moved from the sex center to the hara, now you know that there is a possibility of moving inward. You have opened one door. Now you cannot rest unless you have opened all the doors. Now you cannot remain on the porch. You have entered the palace. Then you can open another door, and another, and another. Just in the middle is the heart center. The heart center divides the lower and the higher. First is the sex center, then the hara, then the navel. Then comes the heart center. 3 centers are below it. 3 centers are above it. The heart is exactly in the middle. You must have seen Solomon's seal. In Judaism, particularly in Kabbalistic thinking, Solomon's seal is one of the most important symbols. That Solomon's seal is the symbol of the heart center. Sex moves downwards. So sex is like a triangle pointed downward. Sahasrara moves upward. So Sahasrara is a triangle moving upward, pointed upward. And the heart is just in the middle, where the sex triangle comes to meet the Sahasrara triangle. Both triangles meet, merge into each other, and it becomes a 6-pointed star. That is the seal of Solomon, the heart of the seal of Solomon. Once you have opened the heart, then you are available for the highest possibilities. Below the heart, you remain man. Beyond the heart, you have become Superman. After the heart center, there is the throat center. Then is the third eye center, then the Sahasrara. The heart is feeling love. The heart absorbing love, becoming love. The throat is expression, communication, sharing, giving it to others. And if you give love to others, then the third eye center starts functioning. Once you start giving, you go higher and higher and higher. A person who goes on taking goes lower and lower and lower. A person who goes on giving goes higher and higher and higher. A miser is the worst possibility a man can fall into, and a sharer is the greatest possibility that a man can become available to. 5 bodies, 5 mahabhutas, and 5 centers, plus 2 bridges. This is the framework, the map. Behind this framework is the whole effort of the yogi, of bringing samayama to every nook and corner so one becomes enlightened, full of light. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath out into the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Remain still. To be spiritually awake means we are fully present in this eternal celebration of this life in each moment. There is no judgment about good or bad, right or wrong. We are simply in a state of awe and gratitude for what is. This is a completely effortless task. Yet even effortless is too much of a word to truly discover it. Go about your day even more freely, lightly, and effortlessly than you ever have in your entire life. Make celebration of existence the number one commitment throughout today. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We will return here November 20, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, to continue our global guided meditation.